I also have the idea that people are late. So I won't take attendance yet, but we can kind of go through the schedule for the first part of the day. I tried to rectify issues of online, and certainly people who emailed me that weren't able to access online. If you're not a current student, I sent you the readings that you needed to from last week if you were here, and if you needed them from this week, I did the same. But is there anybody who still is missing some of the readings? Just send me an email. So what I thought we would do today, in starting with adolescence, kind of continuing our idea about everything going backwards, is there's a reading that I put up called Open Spaces. It's an Adam Phillips article. It's one of my favorite articles right now on adolescence and reading it. So we can go through that if people read it and had some ideas. You read in the syllabus, one of the things that I asked you to think about before coming in was, and to write down if you did, that's great. If you didn't, you can still just think about it. A one-page response to why or why you don't want to work with adolescents, and specifically what that might say about blind spots in your work as a mental health counselor that will impact you one way or another. So we'll kind of go through that article. We'll talk a little bit about physiological and cognitive development in adolescence. The thing that I always highlight in that is that it's interesting. In adolescence, you are changing probably at a pace that is only matched in infancy, right? Infants grow really, really fast in a lot of different ways. Adolescence is a period where there are also a lot of growth spurts and things like that. The one difference being, as an adolescent, you have a little bit of a mind, you know what's going on. When you're an infant, you don't know what's going on, right? But as an adolescent, there's a bit of sentience that you can reflect on, Jesus, how fucked up this is, that I'm like, my pants don't fit, and I always look like I'm wearing floods, and I've got zips, and my hips just got wider, and my arms just got longer, and now they look like my legs instead of my arms, you know. Those types of things. You have an ability and a capacity to reflect on them that you didn't have before, so we'll take a look at that. And then I have a little bit of a presentation I can give you on narcissism and technology. Some of you may have heard bits and pieces of it before, if you've been in classes with me before. But it's certainly, I think, something interesting to talk about, and that'll take us right up till 12 o'clock. We'll take a quick break, half an hour break. Feel free to bring food back, because we're going to start, if you're coming for the second half of the afternoon, we're starting at 12:30, and we have a guest speaker coming to talk about some of her work that she did in a home as a therapist. She's the director of the Rice Center at the Boston Institute for Psychotherapy. She's an infant mental health specialist. So it's a great presentation. You'll really love it, and we'll finish up in the last part of our day with the first part of life, with infancy and childhood. That's kind of the overview for the whole day. The assignment that I gave for this morning part is to look at the sheet that gives you the 10 challenges of adolescence, 10 tasks of adolescence, and pick which one you think was easy to complete, which one was hard for you to complete, and which ones you still might be working on. And again, if you don't have access to the library, let me know, send me an email, and I can send you all these readings. Any questions about where we're going, what we're doing?
When are these assignments due?
I would love to have them by next Friday. Does that sound reasonable?
Yep.
Anybody need a different deadline?
Which assignments? There were a lot. The YouTube videos?
Well, the assignments in terms of what you're turning into me is just, the ultimate assignment for this class is that one page. What was easy, what was hard, what am I still working on from that 10 tasks.
Okay.
That's all. If you haven't done the reading on Open Spaces, if you haven't looked at the videos for the afternoon part, just muddle through it. Yeah. The stuff I gave you in advance was just, again, I said it last week, we have 3 hours to cover a huge amount very important material, and so there's no way I can do that, so I just wanted to give those of you who were interested and able to a little bit of an advanced kind of taste of what we're talking about. For the adolescence piece, for instance, there's a first chapter of a book that I use in another class that talks about changing trends in adolescence, and we'll certainly look at that and talk a little bit about that. It's not a psychoanalytic text, it's more of a developmental text. But it's just a good reference to have.
So what is this hard and should work on is based in the reading that is used in the open space?
The one that's a list of 10, yeah, the 10 tasks of adolescence.
Can you email you the assignment?
Yes.
Okay.
You mean you want to email me your assignment?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take it as an email.
Thank you. We don't have a workshop next week. This is the last one.
This is the last one. Yeah. Any other questions? Ms. Stein, can you remind me to take attendance? I want to wait. So let's start then with the Adam Phillips article. We'll start a little bit more psychoanalytic. He's a British psychoanalyst. Phenomenal writer, very easy to read, very much, I think, in sync with what modern analysts would also talk about, although he is really trained as a little bit more of a British psychoanalyst. There's a little more object relations in how he talks. His books, he's written a ton of books. They often start with the word on, so on flirtation, on balance, and they're all really phenomenal. But what did people think about this particular article? Open Spaces, the Pleasures of Working with Adolescents. Should I put people on the spot and ask who actually has read the article on open spaces?